Bob, your question for Mr. Sabrin.
Dr. Sabrin, I believe you said that you would like to pull out of Iraq immediately. If the country were to do that, and that situation developed into chaos, would we have a moral or ethical responsibility for it?
Well, I've proposed a plan to have the combat troops withdrawn by September 2010, and recently the presumptive nominee of our party, John McCain, said he wants to do it by January 2013. So he's embracing the Sabrin solution, namely set a timetable to leave Iraq. After all, we've spent hundreds of billions of dollars in that part of the world. The Iraqi people have got rid of a dictator with our help, of course. The Iraqi people have voted for a democratic government. They have leadership in place. They have tremendous oil revenue, with oil now $127 a barrel. They have the means to have a self-sufficient country so we can exit honorably and the Iraqi people can govern Iraq. There's no need for us to govern Iraq or any other country in that part of the world. So I've been steadfast in my support of the troops and making sure that our troops come home as quickly as possible. If it can be done before September 2010, that would be wonderful. I don't want to see any more killing. I don't want to see any more deaths. I don't want to see any more maimed soldiers. We have had enough. The Iraqi people have had enough, and it's time to bring the troops home as quickly as possible.
Senator Pennacchio.
First, we must thank those brave men and women, our soldiers, who are defending our freedoms and trying to get those freedoms for the Iraqis. We also must make sure that they have all the necessary tools that is necessary for them to protect themselves and carry on their mission. But our patience, our blood, our treasure, not open-ended. Iraqis have to step up to the plate. We can win the war, we can win the surge, we can get rid of the despots, but unless they come to a political solution where they can take care of themselves militarily, put aside their sectarian differences, no matter what we do, it's not going to be sustainable.
Congressman Zimmer?
Well, our brave troops have given the Iraqis an opportunity for a solution, and I think that we should withdraw our combat troops as quickly as we can. But to have a rigid timetable, a date certain, without any regard to the professional opinion of the generals in the field and the political realities in Iraq, could leave that country in chaos, the region in chaos, and could create a failed state which would become a haven for al-Qaeda and other terrorists who wish us harm.
Dr. Sabrin.
The people who planned this mission in Iraq told us everything was going to be great, it was going to be very inexpensive, we're going to be there in and out, and everything is going to be terrific. It has failed. That vision has failed. Why do we believe the same people who planned this are saying that there's going to be chaos there? There's no evidence of that. Why should the Iraqi people allow al-Qaeda, foreigners, to come into their country and take it over? That's not going to happen. You have a government in place, they have the resources to build up their military, to rebuild their infrastructure, and spread the wealth among the Iraqi people. If that happens, we can withdraw gracefully.
You have a follow-up, Bob.
What do you say to the people who make the argument that if we have a date for withdrawing, that gives comfort to the enemy in knowing when we're going to be leaving?
The problem is, we don't know who the enemy is. They're all over the place. This is not a conventional war like we had in World War I and World War II. So to say that we can figure out all the political rivalries in the Mideast with certainty, I think, is naive. I think Ronald Reagan said it best. The politics of the Mideast is such a hornet's nest, we should leave. And that's what he did when the troops were blown up in Lebanon in 1982 or 83. He didn't say, let's send 100,000 troops into Lebanon to make things right in Lebanon. And of course they descended into a terrible civil war. We were not involved, thank goodness. What we need to do is have a policy of diplomacy.
Michael, your next question.
Senator Pennacchio,
Senator Pennacchio.
You've tried to make energy independence one of the hallmarks of your campaign. On your website, you talk about exploring for oil. We need to do it here in this country. We have vast reserves. You talked about it a few minutes ago. You mentioned shale and coal and nuclear and so on. But in terms of oil, you say we need to drill for oil in the Gulf of Mexico and the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge. If you're willing to drill in an environmentally sensitive area like that, how about off the Jersey Shore?
Well, we're doing it right now in the Gulf of Mexico, which is also very environmentally sensitive. They just found, Chevron, I believe, found an oil reserve that will give us 50% more in total capacity of oil reserves going into the next decade. We don't know what the shelf off the coast of New Jersey offers, but I can tell you this right now. I don't think I would be akin to saying that we should be drilling off the coast of New Jersey when we know that there's already energy sources that we are supplying, nuclear, 4 reactors in New Jersey, when we know that we have 250 years worth of coal that we can gasify starting right in Pennsylvania, when we have a 50% increase in oil just found off the Gulf of Mexico, where we have foreign countries going off the coast of Cuba to get the same oil. So we're making up a hypothetical situation that's just one of those things that we talk about where instead of putting everything on the table, no sooner than you think about putting something on the table in order to rid ourselves of energy dependency, then a special interest is telling you get it off the table.
And Mr. Zimmer, your response.
Well, I believe that the New Jersey economy is so dependent on the tourism and the fisheries and the other elements of the shore economy that it would be inappropriate to drill offshore New Jersey. There's plenty of federal land throughout the country where there should be exploration and development of our resources of oil and gas, and I'm in favor of doing that and streamlining the regulations that are currently prohibited.
Is up, and Mr. Sabrin, your opportunity.
Again, we need to eliminate all these barriers to drilling in the United States. Again, keeping in mind that companies are strictly liable for any environmental degradation that they cause. That's what they should do. That would make sure that if they do drill in an area that's sensitive, they would have to take the risk. As far as New Jersey goes, I'm sure Governor Corzine would like to see a new source of revenue. This would be a perfect opportunity for him to close the budget gap with some of the revenue coming off the drilling of New Jersey. After all, his toll plan is kaput, and so what we need is to think of other ways to get revenue from the state of New Jersey.
Senator Pennacchio, your rebuttal.
Yeah, it's a shame that we have to always talk about hypotheticals, and then hypotheticals excuse the entire problem. Instead of talking about hypotheticals and knowing probably full well that we're not going to drill off the coast of New Jersey, why don't we look up to New Jersey as a national leader where we have 4 nuclear reactors at 3 sites, safe, effective, where we, by taking rid of only 1 reactor, that would increase the amount of greenhouse gases that we put into our atmosphere by 50%. So we are a national leader when it comes to nuclear energy. If we are a national leader, why can't we have other states do the same?
Michael, you have a follow-up.
I was a little unclear at the end of your first answer when you said, when we put these things on the table, special interests sometimes ask us to take them off. Are you taking, do you think drilling off the Jersey Shore should still be on the table?
Michael, you have to tell me exactly, not hypothetically, what we have off the Jersey Shore that we're drilling for. Now, if we have a drop of oil, absolutely not. Let's say you have a huge reserve that would make the Middle East reserves pale in comparison. Should that not be on the table?